Hello, my name's Matt Williams. I'm 17 years old. I come from a small town called Hemel Hempstead. I live at home with my mum, my stepdad and my two brothers, aged 7 and 11. I do eat meat.
Hi, my name's Fatima Sagini. I'm a meat eater. I love to eat food. My family consists of a dad who's a chef who works at Knightsbridge, my mum who's a healthcare assistant.
Hi, my name's Camilla, and over the next few days I'll be showing you my life, my family and friends, and I'll be asking them how they feel about using animals for meat.
I'm Alan Magar. I'm a performing arts student from Birmingham. I'm vegan and have been most of my life.
Hello, I'm Tim Cash. Now today I'm not here to tell you about the latest burning issues in the music industry or who Britney Spears married this week, but instead to talk about something that as a carnivore, as a meat eater, a subject that is quite close to my heart. We're going to be discussing meat production. I mean, how is meat produced? Is the increase in global consumption of meat causing an adverse effect on the planet? Are there moral issues with kind of raising battery hens and keeping animals in captivity and raising them through intensive farming? Do I care where my meat comes from?
Matt, Camilla, Fatima and Alan were given a camera for a couple of weeks and some difficult questions to answer. They went out to investigate how meat ends up on their plate. They visited farms, supermarkets, kitchens and restaurants. They interviewed experts including a GP, a philosopher, an animal behaviourist, an environmental expert and a chicken catcher. This film is all about what they discovered.
My favourite foods are chicken,
fish and chips,
burgers and chips,
chicken, lamb, beef, Indian food, and
double cheeseburger,
chicken.
I really like steak,
burger and chips,
Chicken pasta,
Chicken roast,
Burger,
McDonald's,
Burger King,
McDonald's,
McDonald's,
KFC,
McDonald's,
cheap and easy, junk food.
any sort of meat really.
I love meat.
I eat meat.
Meaty.
The question is, we love meat, but does meat love us?
Meat is a major source of saturated fat and cholesterol in the Western diet, which increases the risk of heart disease. There's also a risk of transmission of serious diseases through meat, such as illustrated by the PSHE crisis, mad cow disease.
This is the most perhaps disturbing slide on the show, so I want to give you a little bit of warning. What you're looking at is the plug of fat that built up in a man's right coronary artery. And as the months and years went by, the fat crowded in on his blood flow channel, till finally only this small dark area was left for the blood to flow through. And when a clot formed here, it stopped the blood flow to his heart, stopped his heart, and bought him a ticket to the autopsy table. This is the #1 cause of death in Western societies.
Hi. Coming into my den.
Thank you.
Anything you grow for food needs to be healthy itself to support health in the human beings that are going to eat it. To be healthy, animals in particular need to be given time and space in which to grow and food that they're used to. And as soon as you start interfering with that to the extent that we have done in the last 100 years, there's bound to be something will go wrong.
Good evening. Recriminations over the foot and mouth crisis were starting to fly today as the number of confirmed outbreaks reached 40.
Every farmer's worst nightmare come true, having to put down sheep infected with foot and mouth. There's 7 new cases today, this one a farm in Cumbria. That brings the total to 40. And 45,000 animals still to be destroyed in the fight to curb the epidemic.
In recent years, the number of disease outbreaks affecting farmed animals has rocketed. PSHE, salmonella, bird flu, foot and mouth disease. Some of these epidemics affect human health as well.
Animals kept in intensive conditions, intensive farming conditions, have far less freedom of movement. They are also far more likely to catch disease from other animals.
So, do we need to worry about the way we produce and kill animals for meat? Do they suffer?
It's not natural for them to be kept cramped. It distresses them. It's not fair.
You can't say that eating meat is not natural because animals are part of nature, and if they're placed there. I mean, we've got chickens now just running past us. If they're placed there, why not eat it? I mean, isn't that the purpose of animals? Because, I mean, they don't have any feelings or whatever.
There is no doubt that animals raised under unnatural conditions do suffer far more than if they were allowed to roam free.
I look at animals, when I see it on my plane, I don't think of it as, oh, this was a chicken running around. I look at it as a food source. Just as another animal would look at me as a food source, and we are the dominating species at the end of the day, and I just think it's right.
Sometimes people say, well, animals, they're simply put here for our use. But of course, the same argument used to be employed in relation to slaves. It used to be thought that it was the order of nature that some human beings were naturally our slaves. And for many, many years, it used to be thought that women also were naturally subordinate to men.
So, what do you think about animals being bred up in captivity?
It's a normal fact of life, isn't it? We have to eat.
So you
Loads
don't
of people
think
like
that you don't think that they get treated badly in any way?
Not the cows I've come across.
The lorries came to the farm where the catching team opened the sheds up, caught the chickens into crates, 25, 30 in a drawer. Sometimes the birds were that big, they'd be overloaded, smothered, not enough room to move. Then once it was loaded, it'd be put back onto the lorry, the crates, and brought to the factory for the killing processing.
Yes, Lucky, you'll be hung from your feet with all the other happy chickens. For your first stop, you'll be taken for a dip in the electrified stun pool, where you'll be gently lulled to dreamland. Then a neat slice of the razor gets the blood flowing. Next, you'll be conveyed into machines to blast those feathers right off you.
They don't want anyone seeing that stuff. They like to keep it hidden, and when you do undercover filming and you do go in there, you soon realise why. It's a pretty awful sight, to put it mildly. It's very, very distressing.
And before you know it, your head will be chopped clean off that tasty little neck of yours. Next, your organs will be removed for you with the help of the Happy Chicken's giblet snatcher. Then it's on to the ovens where you'll brown to perfection. No need to bring that sunblock because you're headed straight for the slicers and into a brand new package of Happy Chicken sandwich slices.
You have been warned.
See, the storm is broken in the middle of the night. Nothing left here for me. It's washed away. The rain pushes the buildings aside. Sky turns black. Sky. Wash it far. Push it out to sea.
So, let's talk.
Makes you feel sick. It doesn't matter how much worse you've seen, it still makes you feel sick because it's just still happening to the animals, and the animals are feeling pain. Like the worst bit was when there was all those dead sheep and there was that one lamb just crying.
Camilla,
Oh,
you didn't like the whole thing I was watching while you were watching that?
no, that was really, really upsetting. Really, I feel like I'm going to cry.
What was so upsetting about it? I know that sounds like a pretty dumb question, but what was it about the video that was really upsetting?
Like, the cow, sorry, I don't want to cry.
No, it's alright.
The cow that was tied up by his one arm. It was like horrible.
Attached to the fence.
First time I've ever seen anything like that. The bit that got to me the most was the pig, when the geese was beaten. I don't think there's any need to do that, really. To hit the animals and beat them up like that and like, kick them and put them by their ears and stuff. Well, it was a bit too much, really.
So, how do we stop animals suffering as they're raised and slaughtered? If companies involved in breeding animals and preparing or selling meat products have nothing to hide, why are they so reluctant to talk to us or be filmed?
I'm in Tesco's and I found a really grim looking chicken, and I want to ask the manager a few questions about it.
No filming?
Why are we not?
No filming allowed in store.
Right, well, we just got kicked out of Tesco's.
Just speak to customer services, please.
I've got a few questions to ask about animal welfare standards.
We contacted the following organisations: Sainsbury's, Tesco, Asda, McDonald's, KFC, the National Farmers Union. All of them declined to be interviewed or failed to respond.
Nothing on the website about how the animals are kept.
Hiya. Hello. Sorry to bother you. We're all students doing a project. Sorry?
I can't have them on site. They're going to be turned off.
Oh, really? Just a really quick question.
No,
We just
I'm
wanted
not
to.
asking any question until they're turned off.
Okay,
If they're not turned
guys.
off, the gate's open. Straight away, or else I'll call the police.
Are we in polite?
Now he's standing over there on his phone. Looks like he's calling the police. So
Probably calling the police to come and try and have us removed.
I just can't believe how secretive it is. How they just like they're so funny about it. Like it's like she says, like a top secret thing. You would think that there's got nuclear weapons in those sheds. But it's not, it's just chickens. It's like, what's the big deal about it?
That's why we have to do undercover filming. You go in, open the barn doors, film and go out again, and they don't even know you've been in most of the time. But people always say, why didn't you call up and make an appointment? And they're not going to show you around.
He said, go through my company, and if they give you permission, then you can come on there. But
they wouldn't give you permission.
He wouldn't even give us a number anyway.
So, if eating meat isn't that great for us or the animals, is it any better for the environment?
Did you know, if you eat meat regularly, chances are within your lifetime you'll eat 4 whole cows, 1,000 chickens, 20 pigs, 30 sheep, 45 turkeys, and thousands of fish. To produce that much meat for a growing population, more and more animals have to be raised. Many of them are packed together in sheds on intensive farms. All those animals need to eat, so more and more crops are grown to feed them, and more land is taken for livestock to graze. But rather than producing more food, there's less food in the end. You could feed far more people by growing those crops for people. Our planet already faces dangerous water shortages, and raising animals takes far more water than simply growing crops and vegetables. Breeding so many animals causes massive environmental problems. Around the world, intensive farming produces 13 billion tons of liquid manure a year. Whew. It seeps into rivers, polluting water and killing fish. The more hamburgers and steaks and ribs and drumsticks and lamb chops we eat, the worse these problems will become. But we do have a choice. We have the power to stop this devastation of our environment.
So, if eating factory farmed meat is not really that good for us, the animals, or the planet, what should we eat instead? Is organic or free range the way forward?
Organic and free range, people get mixed up. Organic is about minimizing the amount of chemicals that go into meat production. It's essentially a human health thing, and it helps the environment. Free range is a welfare thing. It's about giving animals more space. Both of them help the animals to some extent, but under both systems, animals are still very crowded, they get stressed, they get diseased, and at the end of the day, they get put on a truck and taken to a killing factory and have their throats cut. So, you know, we see these terms on the shelves, free range organic, they're not the answer.
I enjoy it.
What about, quite simply, eating less meat? Or if not, cutting it out of your diet?
Everything's being overdone. Everything's like going over the top and overboard at the moment.
I think it's a really simple choice. If you are very concerned about the future of the planet, eat less meat.
What is it that myself and others can do to help stop what's going on in intensive farms?
Meat, fish and animal byproducts should be considered luxury items. They're not essentials. They were before we had more nutritional knowledge that we do possess now. There are perfectly acceptable vegetarian and vegan ways of going forward.
Can you be healthy and eat just vegetables? Are you going to get all the vitamins you need?
A lot of athletes that you see like running in the Olympics, they're vegetarian. And a number of footballers are vegetarian.
Now, the question that's always constantly in my mind, can you seriously get the nutrients and the proteins in a vegan diet?
A plant-based diet
can provide every known nutritional requirement for humans, and this has been studied very extensively. You don't even need to be particularly careful, you don't need to be an expert in nutrition. If you eat a wide variety of plant foods, you'll get everything you need.
I think people who think it's wimpy to be vegan have got it completely wrong. I ran for England as an athlete. I've done martial arts all my life, weightlifting and kung fu. I've now just taken up boxing at the age of 46 years old, and I can still outrun most people half my age. Body language. So I don't think it's wimpy at all. In fact, if you look at it, some of the strongest animals in the world are vegan. The gorilla, the elephant, you know. Go and tell a gorilla that it's wimpy to be a vegan.
People who worry about the adequacy of a vegetarian diet have got the situation entirely the wrong way up. What they should worry about is the excess of a meat-based diet. I've treated an awful lot of people whose problem has been fundamentally the clutter in their bloodstream from customarily eating just an ordinary amount of meat. And when they stop eating any, at least for a trial period of a few months, their bodies start to clean up.
Vegetarianism I know it doesn't detract anything from my lifestyle, and I lead a really active life doing what I do. Anyone who thinks that vegetarianism is a sign of weakness or whatever is kind of totally misdirected.
I'm not asking everybody to be perfect, because nobody is, but at least be aware, be conscious of what you're doing within this community, within this world, and the power that we have, and take steps. Take steps, man. We gotta take steps. Peace.
A lot of people think that vegans are like these recluses who are too sensitive to handle the world, and that's not the case at all. We're very fiery, cool people. All the young people I hang out with are earth conscious. They're deciding to take responsibility for their health. Don't avoid the negative, but pursue the positive.
The coolest thing you can possibly do throughout your life is to make your own decisions, because you're not bothered about what anybody thinks. I mean, not cool is subscribing to peer pressure from other people. The whole point is that as you leave your teenage years, you will discover this. At the moment, you're being heavily marketed to. At the moment, you're under a lot of pressure to fit in with your friends and stuff, but that disappears very rapidly. What you eat, what you wear, what you listen to, how you behave, these are all things that are up in the air. But the last possible reason you should choose to end up doing this or that is because you're worried about not looking cool. You've fallen into the trap already.
Partly, I suppose, consumers are to blame because we want it cheap. I think the question that we have to ask ourselves, and in fact the question that we have to ask the people who sell us meat, is if it's cheap, why is it cheap? What corners have been cut? What animal welfare standards have not been observed? What environmental standards have not been observed to get it that cheap? If we want something that's good, then frankly, we have to be prepared to pay for it.
So don't blame farmers, don't even blame supermarkets. It's down to consumers, it's down to you guys, you know? And you've got to exercise your choice. You've got to not stop off at some chicken fry franchise and fill up with animals that you know suffered in this process of getting to your high street. So don't blame everybody else, think about it yourself.
The project has been a really positive thing, because even if like one person just knows one extra fact about the meat or the dairy industry, it's a step in the right direction.
They're placed there, why not eat it? I mean, isn't that the purpose of animals? Because I mean, they don't have any feelings or whatever.
I walk away from this project knowing that people have strong beliefs about eating meat, and that I too should think twice when I do eat meat.
Don't think of it as, oh, this was a chicken running around. I look at it as a food source. Just as another animal would look at me as a food source, and we are the dominating species at the end of the day, and I just think it's right. didn't know the animals get treated that badly, and when they were stuffing all the chickens in the cages and just shutting them like drawers.
But I never knew how butcherous and horrendous the conditions can be for intensive farming. And that's something that it pissed me off. It annoys me that you don't have to degrade. It's degrading to human beings to be treating animals like that. That's not what's in our nature, to treat another kind of living thing like that. That's not what we're about as human beings.
I had no idea that it was that bad. Like, I just thought that it was just, they just had bad living conditions.
Because intensive farming is just terrible, it's disgusting, and I don't want to play a part in that, and I don't want to be financing it either.
You know, now I've got far more respect for people like Alan and Camilla because they're fighting a fight, but they have a reason to do it. And that's what's good. It's all good fighting a fight, but these guys actually have a reason for it. And that's what I admire.
So, eat this. We hope this film has given you some food for thought. Only you can change what you're going to be doing next. Think about your own health and the environment. If you make an effort to eat less meat, you're doing a good thing. If you decide from now on that you will only eat free range, that's cool, because you're doing a good thing. Do the best you can, that's all we can ask. But remember, you have a choice, the animals don't. And the best way to stop them suffering is to quite simply stop eating them.
I've got nobody's inside me, all of me is me. I will not eat nobody else, so I am what you see. I do not plan to eat dead sheep, I will not eat a hen. I'm so proud of what I am, so I will say again, I've got nobody's inside me, all of me is me. I will not eat nobody else, so I am what you see.